is a Monday. Welcome to Scoop City, presented by eBay. I'm James Palmer. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please, please, please do that. And it's a Monday, as I mentioned, so we are loaded. We have everybody with us. We have Chase Daniel. We have Dianna Russini, the Athletic Senior NFL Insider. Everybody, how are we doing? How was your
loaded
Sunday? Loaded show.
Loaded. Football Sunday was great.
Fired up.
Great.
Long day on Sunday.
Awful.
Long day. I got nothing done.
No.
I was in sweats from like 8:30 until almost like 11:30 last night. So a big waste of a day. Sorry about the voice a little. I lost it on Friday. I don't know where it went. I wasn't yelling at anyone, but I'm fighting something. So sorry.
Sure about that?
Sorry if it's a little Demi Moore. That's what I was going for.
We'll see if we can dig Chase for the next hour to see if she was fighting with anybody between losing that voice and now. We'll try to figure it out. I watched the game from Dublin while watching kids soccer, watching Carson Wentz and Aaron Rodgers go at it. But we got a full day.
I think the game's better in Ireland. I like it better than London.
Oh. I've done the London game a bunch, and I've loved it. I've loved it, and I think.
How about Patrick Queen? Did you hear what he said about just saying how like the seat? He's like, I know I'm gonna take a lot of heat for this, but the crowd was better than a home game in Pittsburgh.
I noticed they were actual fans of the Steelers team mostly. Like when you play in London, it's like a smorgasbord of stuff. Like there's 20% Cowboys fans. There's like 32 jerseys. There it looked like it was a home game for the Steelers. So it was cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm soft. I don't like the outdoor press boxes in Europe. I like to be contained, controlled environment. Don't want the wind, but it's okay. Listen, we have a lot to get to. Like I said, we're going to start with what we're hearing. And Dianna, there were a ton of injuries that occurred on Sunday, a ton of hamstring injuries specifically. Those were aplenty. But we do have to start with a major one in New York that you broke that news this morning with Malik Nabers. What is the official diagnosis for their starter?
Yeah, the fear was ACL, and you felt it. You heard it at MetLife too. And then, I think most people knew what the MRI would show, which is that he did, in fact, tear his ACL, so he'll be out for the rest of the season, which just, you look at this Giants team and they get such a good win. They seem so energized with Jaxson Dart, and to lose their best weapon, to lose their best player, or at least one of their best players, obviously just horrible news. So we'll see what moves they make here in terms of trying to replace him, to try to give Jaxson Dart another weapon there. But of course, he's not the only one that was dealing, with a big health injury. Guys, we got the Ravens with just a boatload of injuries. They came
crazy
into the game with them, and now
what is happening?
I know people get annoying because it's like, oh, what's the training staff doing? Look, it's football, right? Unfortunately, it's part of it. But you got Lamar Jackson with a hamstring. We're going to find out more today about the serious nature of this, how long this will be. Typically with hamstrings, right, Chase? They're 2 to 4, right? Tend to be more towards 4.
And then he's a running quarterback. That completely changes. It could be a little bit longer depending on that.
Yep. We got Marlon Humphrey with a calf, Roquan Smith with a hamstring as well, Nate Wiggins with an elbow, Ronnie Stanley with an ankle. This is all in one game. None of this seems like, from what John Harbaugh said, to be season-ending injuries, but obviously that is a significant amount on top of the fact that they've already got players on IR, and we saw how they came into the game on defense, which is not good.
Yeah.
So I'd say those are like the big headliners. We're gonna wait for Joe Alt. Right now he was getting scans about an hour and a half ago. So we'll get those results soon. But I can tell you they're making calls behind the scenes to try to find someone to step in here, because obviously they're going to need it with their O-line.
Just to sum it all up right now, just tell you this. Going into week 4, there was only one player that accounted for a larger percentage of their team's receptions above Malik Nabers. It was Trey McBride at 29.5%. Malik Nabers was at 29%. And with all of those injuries going on in Baltimore, picture this: playing without your 5 highest paid players. Take your favorite team, think about the 5 highest paid players you have, and that's what the Ravens were finishing the game with. And with the Joe Alt injury, they was, remember, already playing left tackle in place of Rashawn Slater, who was out and lost him for the season during camp. Justin Herbert's already been hit 26 times in the past 2 games. The only guys that have been hit more are Joe Flacco and Cam Ward so far. So that there's something there to keep an eye on, because this is a game obviously the Chargers should have won. But we'll get to Jaxson Dart and why the Giants won in just a moment. We're going to cut to the chase here, and we're going to start talking about some quarterback play. And the first one I want to mention is the one we were all waiting for, right? It was Micah Parsons against his good buddy Dak Prescott, Chase. And it was going to go, what's going to happen when he sacks him? Well, they needed extra time in this game to actually have that happen with a sack. But the question I want to put out to you is, we are seeing an outstanding season from Dak Prescott this year. You broke it down, I think, a week ago on what you were seeing on film. Are we going to see a wasted season from Dak Prescott? Because talking to people in Dallas, that's definitely the thought right now.
I mean, look, with all the injuries they're having and with the way their defense is playing, I think you're going to see a wasted season. You're hard pressed right now. And this isn't, I'm not just saying this, like the film backs it up, the stats back it up, the eye test backs it up. You're seeing some of the best quarterback play in the NFL. And you saw that last year with Joe Burrow. You so expertly pointed it out in our production meeting. And I couldn't agree more. I just feel like they really are wasting some of the best quarterback play. And look, their defense is worst in the league in yards per game. Their offense is first in the league in yards per game, and they're scoring a bunch of points. And we saw this last year with Joe Burrow. You had to outscore your opponents. Okay, can I just say something? They lost their center in the game last night. Tyler Booker is out. Their all-pro receiver, one of the best in the league, he's out. Like, he's doing this. Dak Prescott's doing this with a cast of some backup guys. Now, George Pickens, he's balling. Like breakout game for him. Dallas Cowboys, they seem to have found a groove. Javonte Williams is running the ball at an extremely high rate, and you got to just give it credit. And I need to give credit to Brian Schottenheimer and the games that he's called, because look, we were I wasn't sure how it would go into the season. And look, I get it, your defense isn't playing well, but him as a play caller and then to also be a CEO type style coach, but is running the plays and calling the plays. Like, I just think his plan last night was spectacular. I think his plan the first 4 games has been spectacular against the defense. Like in Green Bay, they were second or third overall in almost every major defensive category coming into the game. And you put up 40 on them, and you like multiple 2-minute drives. So we got to give credit to Brian Schottenheimer. We got to give credit to Dak, because Dak is truly playing at a different level right now.
Yeah, Chase, especially because when we talked about the Brian Schottenheimer hire, we criticized Jerry for not doing a better search, for going with what we thought was just comfortable and also controlling. Right? We said, okay, he wants Shotty because he doesn't want any coach to come in there like a Ben Johnson, like a Mike Vrabel, who's going to be these alpha attention seeking, not even attention seeking, but they would demand it because the light would be on them so much. And we thought that maybe this was just a Jerry move for his comfort. Yet one of the reasons why they liked Schottenheimer, outside of some of the things that I do believe are true from why he was hired, is the relationship with Dak. Dak really wanted Shotty. So I think we're seeing why. And look how often we've talked this month, specifically in September. We've talked about teams needing time to adjust to their play callers, that we've got to be patient, right? The Cowboys don't have any issue with this, right? No. Look at the NFC East right now. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going through an adjustment period right now. You can point to a lot of different teams with a first-time play caller, and you're going to have that. With Shotty, you don't. And that's already a really great advantage for a team. But here's my question for you guys from the defense perspective. Matt Eberflus is a good coordinator, right? But I am surprised by some of the things we're seeing. It was never this bad when he was there the first time, but also I don't really remember Chicago looking this bad. All right. Sorry, Bears fans, if you're watching this, you're like, yes, it was this bad.
Defensively, you're saying. Yeah, I get it.
Defensively. What are they going to be able to do here? Because it's almost like unwatchable.
They don't have the players like they used to. Like, I like Deron Bland and I like these guys, but up front, it starts up front. They can't rush the quarterback. It's poor tackling. It's poor angles. It's poor fundamentals. And look, you can coach that, and you can be in this scheme. I'm at Eberflus's scheme. I mean, look, he was my defensive coordinator in college. He helped recruit me. I know him extremely well. I know his scheme extremely well, and it really hasn't changed. It's about playing fast. It's probably the worst zone coverage I've ever seen in my last like 10 years of covering or playing in the NFL. And they let stuff go behind their heads. But if you really break it down, James, like when you look at the tape, it is the fundamentals of tackling. It's the fundamentals of taking the right angle on a runner. It's the fundamentals of a D lineman two-gapping so a linebacker can get off his block and get into there to tackle. They're just not doing any of it. And it's embarrassing to watch, and they're going to be in shootouts the rest of the year.
Yeah, what I got a text this morning going, if we have to score 37 points a game to just be in games, this is going to be a long season for us. Now, they do believe that the secondary could get healthier. They think the D-line is maybe playing better as this season's gone on. We'll see. I know they really, really want Demo back. I think that's a big part of what they do up front. They really, really feel like that will maybe make a little bit of a difference up front. But what I got a couple of texts this morning, Jason. I wanted to ask you this before we move on. On 4th and 6 in overtime, and you don't even simulate any sort of pressure, and you don't bring any sort of pressure. I'm just curious, from a quarterback's perspective, and we all saw Jordan Love complete the ball to Matthew Golden over the middle, I believe.
Over the middle.
What was your thought watching that as a quarterback going, is this are you putting me in a difficult spot, dropping 7 as a quarterback?
That's a great point. And it was just a pure cover 2 style defense where the Mike linebacker, it's like the Tampa 2, he gets out of there. Matthew Golden just went up there and just turned around at 10, 12 yards. If you're any other quarter, like think about Steve Spagnuolo. What do you think Spags would have done? And it's just from a schematic standpoint. Dialed up, some crazy tight presser, live by the blitz, die by the blitz. That's just not who Matt Eberflus is. However, you now have 4 games of your defense that has been scouted. You have to change schematically what you're doing because you don't have the players that play good zone defense. You need to play more man coverage. Hey, if we know going into the game, we're probably giving up 40. Why not pressure the quarterback, make him uncomfortable, and do that? You can't just live and die by zone blitz. Now they're trying to play, James. They're trying to play the bend don't break style defense where you can get into the red zone. The problem is they're not playing good red zone defense either. You can play like that if you clamp down in the red zone, but you're not doing that. And so that hence why all the points are being scored.
Now, you mentioned Steve Spagnuolo. So let's move on to Dianna. We know a topic Chase loves talking about. That's the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. He really shouted from the rooftops, "Don't write off my boys just yet." He wanted to make sure everybody was well aware. But watching that game in Kansas City, it felt like a turning point, maybe for both teams, in terms of the Ravens and the Chiefs. And kind of asking around, Mahomes was on a mission in this game, and he looked comfortable, Chase. He looked to spread the football around. Obviously, the return of Xavier Worthy is a big part of that. When you watch this Chiefs offense operate, the first thing that jumped out to you is what?
Having Xavier Worthy back. I mean, it changes their offense completely. And they don't even have Rashee Rice. They don't even have their bona fide number 1 receiver. But you saw Hollywood Brown get going. You saw Juju Smith-Schuster get going. Travis Kelce get going. They spread the ball around. And when they do that as an offense and you have somebody, like I think Xavier Worthy had like a 35-yard run or something like that. He might have been, was he the leading rusher? Like the way he makes defenses play off coverage and play zone defense because teams are scared. You saw him in the Super Bowl go off, right? It was sort of his coming out party in the biggest game of the year. Now,
his last 3 games he's played are his 3 best games.
Yeah,
honestly. And from the end of last year to I don't count week 1, right? He gets hurt before he can do anything.
Yeah,
but you know what I'm saying? The last 3 games he's played are his 3 best games.
And when you have the Ravens, I want to keep this in. The Ravens defense is not great. It's one of the worst in the league, but if you have a game like this where against anyone you're going out and you're really efficient throwing the football, you're all right running the football, you throw for 4 touchdowns, you get everyone involved. I think it was 4 touchdowns to 4 different guys. That's what this Chiefs offense can be. And it just screamed Xavier Worthy. They got him going early. I think 2 catches on the first drive, and he felt good. Now wait until and I'm telling you guys, wait until they get Rashee Rice back. Like a couple more weeks. And I've just said this, look, they still have a very tough schedule. I think the defense is really, really good. And I think they're going to have to continue to carry them. If they can get to, and I've said this, if they can get to 3-3 And they got some other teams coming up that can beat them, like or 4-2. Like they'll be rolling. And I look back and I tweeted this and I look back. Do you guys remember last week against the Giants when Travis Kelce bumped into Big Red?
Okay.
On the sideline, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, it's a Super Bowl again." I'm telling you right now, after they did that, look at the last 6 quarters they played. The second half of the Giants game and the 4 quarters of this. You're going to look back in December. I will look back in December and say that's going to be the turning point of sort of their season for them, because they were down bad. They weren't playing really well in the Giants game. They've come back and they played excellent. Their defense is good. Wait till you get Rashee Rice back. I'll scream it from the mountaintops. The Chiefs, do not count them out.
The bump that changed it all.
Yeah, Chase is talking about, Diana, that it's going to be in the America's game, right? At the end of the season, after the Chiefs win another Lombardi. It's going to be a big part of Travis and Big Red are going to have to talk about it, right? Yeah, okay.
It's a chest bump. Look, we've talked about it on the show, and I think sometimes when you talk to people in Kansas City and they're so calm about these situations, you always just go, well, they're calm because, A, they've been there a million times. They've won. They've always figured it out. And Patrick has always been able to lead them and carry them. And I think the reason why there was some hesitation was it just seemed as if the task was maybe a little too tall for Patrick without Xavier Worthy out there. And I think that's okay. But knowing that Xavier Worthy's back, Rashee Rice is going to return, that it's why their mood has been, we'll be fine. We just need them. Like, I don't think anyone there was going, we're amazing without these guys. They know they need them. So I think now that we got a glimpse of at least half of the return of these players, it just goes to show, it proves why they're so calm about it. And it's just going to get better. And I mean, historically, how many times are we going to look back at the Chiefs and go, September was such a waste of our time? Why did we even talk about them? Like, we should just only talk about the Chiefs from Halloween on. Like, just that's when we should be like, okay, here are what the Chiefs are. Because they are never what they put on the field in September. It's never like that.
I remember covering
only had 1 sack too, right? Like that's a big deal too, giving them time. Just want to put that in.
How about the drama around Chris Jones? Like, showing up. Tracy Wilson was on like every step of it. He's like, he has arrived. Like,
that was.
I mean, you want him out there, obviously. But.
Yes, it was. I think it was kind of obviously special. I remember covering a game several years ago where I watched Tyrann Mathieu throw a helmet completely across the field before halftime, playing the Commanders, when they were giving up more yards per play than any team in NFL history through their first several games in September. And look at what Spags did with the defense as it molded through. We've seen this before with Kansas City. And by the way, everybody that was ready to jump off the Empire State Building, it was like, take your team and whoever you root for, take away the top 2 receivers, and you tell me how the offense will entirely operate. And I think, Chase, to your point with the speed that Xavier Worthy gives, it's kind of an extra eye, an extra beat, an extra fear that every defense has to have. And I think that plays a part in the way you saw Patrick Mahomes operate the quick game, Chase, right? Like every team has to just think a little bit more when you're looking at Xavier Worthy. Is he going to beat us deep? Where is he going to go? How are you going to use him? The quick game was outstanding for Patrick Mahomes and getting rid of the ball quickly. I got a text this morning that was just like, we are going to be scary when Rashee comes back. And really the thought process was, if you remember, and you talk to anybody in Kansas City heading into week 1, it was Xavier Worthy is a huge part of our week 1 game plan. Well, that just went out the window immediately when the game started. And this is what they envisioned Worthy being, and then how their offense can operate, and then take it a step further when Rashee Rice comes back. I think it's going to be kind of something for us to continue to watch. I know. Well, there was another team in this game, and it seemed like I mentioned it was going in a different direction. There's the injury part of it, yes. But is there concern now with the Ravens, Chase? I look at the division, and I look at Cincinnati, and I look at Cleveland, and obviously they have their issues. We'll get to Pittsburgh a little bit later in the show, but is there now cause for concern at 1-3 with the Ravens?
What? And we're talking about Lamar Jackson missing a game in one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I don't think they make the playoffs. If Lamar doesn't play the next 3 weeks, well, that's not a hot take.
Yeah.
Like, look at their schedule and look at who they're playing against in the AFC. If Lamar Jackson does not play the next 2 or 3 games, and you're 2-5, like what? Like, huh? Like,
He's
what?
The most important person on this team. It's not even close.
And especially with the defense playing like that? Are we just expecting this defense to go from worst to first? Like,
you know how we talk about other teams like Minnesota, right? It's like, all right, you lose this guy, Kevin O'Connell will figure it out. They'll drum up with the backup. The next guy gets hurt, they'll drum up an answer. Kevin Stefanski in years past, he'll drum something
Cooper
up.
Rush.
They can't do that in Lamar Jackson. They can't do, they can't do that with the Baltimore offense because they just don't have the talent around him. He carries that team so much. And Chase, it crossed my mind watching yesterday. Look, I think it's fair to say something is bothering Lamar physically. I don't know what it is. Sure. I know the ankle became an issue. He left with that. I'm wondering if there's something else cooking there. Because there are just moments in the game, things that we normally see such an athletic, elite runner not seem so special. He's still incredible. But that next level that, exactly, like the video game version of him just didn't seem like it was out there. And I don't know what that is. And if he can't be that, they're in trouble.
Which part of that, Chase, portion of it, I guess, falls on the defenses? I think there's been that spy that's been kind of used even further now. I think Detroit showcased it quite a bit. You saw it with Kansas City. Has the way you've seen the last couple of weeks defenses played a part in any of what Dianna said?
I mean, a little bit. Look, Lamar's seen every style of defense and understanding how to beat any style of defense. I do think the last few weeks, like just for whatever reason, Derrick Henry has been a huge, like, oh my gosh, like showstopper superstar like he normally is in that offense. And then
they didn't even have him on the field during a short yardage situation.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was weird.
And I just look at Lamar throwing the football. I would say the last 2 full years, not including this year, last 2 full years, he's thrown the football better than I've ever seen him throw the football before. And he was doing that early this year as well. Something changed, and I don't think it's defensively. I do think, like, when you have any type of injury, whether big, small, indifferent as a quarterback, and you're trying to play through it, it's always in the back of your head. Like, even like Justin Herbert had when I was there, like his left rib, right, as a thrower. Like, he tries to play through that, or like a shoulder injury to your opposite shoulder, or anything like that. That's what I think is the issue. And they're just think about Cooper Rush. Okay. And I like Cooper. I think I like Cooper, but if Cooper Rush has to play the next 3 games, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he's going to heal up and the hamstring's going to be good, whatever. Their offensive identity completely changes. They're going to pound the rock with Henry. They're going to take some one-on-one shots outside, but it's just, that's it. Like, that's it. Like, it's not an explosive offense without Lamar's threat of running the football. And so Cooper can go in there and they can play quick game. They're going to look like a true NFL style offense with them, but it just doesn't scare me. And you're not going to put up enough points to help your struggling defense.
You know what doesn't scare me either? A quarterback in Lamar Jackson dealing with the hamstring, maybe perhaps something else. And he's mentally not the same guy because he knows he can't physically do it all. Like, Chase, I was thinking about that during the game as well. Like, how much is this in his head too, knowing that he's limited from doing all the things that we've seen him do so well to carry this team. The injuries are piling up on defense, and without him on offense, it's just I'm like, usually I'm like the sane one on this show. I'm like red alert here.
What do you mean sane one? What are you talking about?
I obviously
sane one.
For the people watching us, and
I think James is a sane one.
Thank you, Chase. I was just kind of waiting for somebody to kind of come back to planet Earth.
You were definitely not the sane one.
I don't freak out though. When was the last time I freaked out about something?
Apparently, it was when you lost your voice.
Doesn't mean you're sane.
Apparently, it was when you lost your voice.
We're still got to get to the bottom of that.
It was a heated conversation. Let me tell you.
I do love, Dianna, with a point you brought up about maybe one of the more important players to their specific situation in the NFL because of the way the offense is designed. And that got me thinking, like, Jake Browning comes in, he's a good backup, but this offense designed for the processing of Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Yep. Well, the way the offense is designed in Miami is specifically for Tua Tagovailoa. This offense is just like that, designed specifically for Lamar Jackson. But you know who could have been on the field when he went down? Could have been Shedeur Sanders. Could have been Shedeur Sanders if he was
forces away. Didn't want to be drafted.
I'll just say, I'll just throw it out there. He has another person in front of him in Cleveland.
Throw it out
on the field on Sunday against Kansas City. On to a rookie quarterback transitioning to one that did take the field, and that is Jaxson Dart. Chase has been clamoring for it for some time. He insisted, Dianna. Yeah, I know, but I like to give you your credit because you did actually put a date on it. You said before Halloween. That was the date, right?
Which you were even saying that was too long too. You were like, Halloween? What are you talking about? And Chase didn't even know what was going on behind the scenes. He just was watching enough of what was on the field, right? And Chase, I found out over the weekend that they actually wanted to go to Jackson after week 1. Right?
Ooh, so come on now.
They did. So they pulled that back.
$10 million one-game leash.
Right?
Yeah.
They stuck with Russ. Russ went out there. Remember, obviously played against Dallas. He had an epic performance. They stuck with him, and then we saw what happened against Kansas City. He gets pulled in the building. The players were energized by this. Once Dable made that announcement, and just even the time that Dable spent with Jackson, going over Buffalo stuff that he did with Josh Allen, going over Ole Miss things, just to get them ready. And you saw a different offense. And yes, Chase, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about Jackson. I've been waiting and waiting. But to me, it was the defense. That, to me, is the story in New York. They finally showed up. This is a deep, guys. People around football have texted me about the Giants' defense that have nothing to do with the Giants. They're like, how are they not winning with this team?
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with them? Well, look what happens when they show up. So, Chase, what did you see from Jackson?
Their defense played great. I mean, their defensive line is one of the deepest in the league. And I do think that changing quarterbacks to a guy who has a lot of moxie, a lot of swagger, he's energizing the bunch. I do think that played a part of it. But when you saw him on the field and he leads that 80-yard touchdown drive, right? Like it was something to be like, okay, this guy belongs here. It's not too big of a spotlight for him. And that probably explains why, hey, after week 1, okay, let's talk about it. And that's it. Like, I just don't know if you actually watch the film and you read between the lines. I know you're inside, guys, the locker room, and you guys always got all these sources, but just look at like the last 5 drafts. Okay. First round quarterbacks, the average time to play for them is week 3. And people are like, Jaxson Dart's not going to see it. The Jaxson Dart's going to sit the whole year crowd. You don't draft a guy in the first round and let him sit. You want to show hope, which he did, right? They were 0-3. You show energy. You show hope. Listen, at the end of the day, Brian Daboll and Joe Sheen, they're trying to save their jobs. Like, forget about the playoffs right now. You're trying to save your jobs. Yeah. And look, Malik Nabers going down, that doesn't do it. But we got a couple of plays here, guys, specifically the first touchdown run. We got this new all-22 up in here, and I want you to see this. It's a quarterback draw, so it's pretty easy. But it's called a PRO. So it's a pass run option, not a run pass option. So he's going to look to his left right here, and then Cam Scattaboo with a nice little block. But this is what Jaxson Dart really brought to the team, and it was his running ability, running for 54 yards. And I want you to watch. There's going to be 2 little stick routes to the left side of your screen right here, and it pulls the other linebacker out. So there's a 5-man box. Chargers are playing too high look, and his scrambling ability, his running ability, right there, the way he's able to fit into small holes, all this stuff, like that's the one thing for a rookie quarterback. And I would have taken the over if I'm a betting man. And in rushing yards is you rely on your legs a lot more. And I think that's exactly what Jaxson Dart was able to do, James.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think one of the things that we looked at was how was this team doing on third down? How were they doing in the red zone? 2 massive issues before he took over. The legs part of it, Chase, play a big part in the way that they turned things around on third down with him being able to use his legs. They went 7 for 15 on third down. They went 2 of 5 in red zone. And I'm looking at the other red zone games. I mean, 0 for 2, 1 for 5, 1 for 3. Like, these were issues when you add the element to change the math in the middle of the field, right? When you have a quarterback that can use their legs, this aspect of his game is something that we have seen Brian Daboll be successful with in the past, right? When have we seen his offense be at its best, Chase, right? When he had Josh Allen, who can use his legs, the early portion of Daniel Jones, like there's that element to where they can have some of these option things, and it's a part of his game that they really, really, really liked. Is this play, though, and what I'm curious about, and the play that stands out to me is the one where he had to leave the field because I think he was just exhausted, but for some reason the officiating crew thought maybe he suffered a head injury and needed to be examined for a concussion. But the slapping of an opponent's helmet, sprinting down the field, fired up, the hits that he took, though, is this a way to play the position and stay healthy for 17 games, Chase?
I mean, obviously not, but who cares? They won the game and he's healthy. You know what I mean? Obviously not. Like, you can't play like that. You can't take your right hand, which is your throwing hand, and try to stiff arm an opponent. Like, he's going to learn, but that's the thing. Like, he's so young and he's so energetic and he gets the crowd going. Like, you can see.
You hear MetLife? I haven't heard MetLife like that. I've never noticed crowd like that. I was like,
there's some energy. Like, Tracy Jr., Scadaboo, like, honestly, like, it really, really stinks that Malik Nabers is out. But like Jaxson Dart, like, those 4 guys are so young that you can see that. And you want to talk about creativity. We have another play here on a shovel pass. And this is the red zone that you were saying, James, so expertly. So they scored here. Jaxson Dart actually checks to this play. Look, he's going to act like he's running right and then finds the tight end. Like, what does that remind? That reminds me of like the Kansas City Chiefs, or I've seen like back in the day when they used to do this shovel pass, but I've seen Brian Daboll and Josh Allen do this before when they were coaching. And so I just feel like the playbook is opened up. You're going to motion out Cam Scadaboo, and he has an opportunity to continue running to the right, but he decides, hey, you know what? I'm reading the end guy on the line of scrimmage. I got 6 guys on the line. As soon as that end guy on the line of scrimmage goes out with Cam Scadaboo, he says, hey, you know what? I'm going to make the correct decision. And they've only practiced this one way. It's really hard, James and Dianna, to pitch back inside with your left hand with the right-handed quarterback. So he just said on the move, he said, you know what? I'm just going to be able to do it. And I just thought the creativity, now the tight end gets freaking smoked right there, but the creativity and everything in this offense, it's next level.
I'm glad you pulled that. That was interesting. Also, just from talking to people in New York before the game, they had shared with me that they were going to keep this simple. So I hear you on the creativity and opening up the playbook, but they can't do too much, right? He's only a rookie. But just the fact that they were able to find the simple stuff that works. I also went back to look at how Josh Allen fared in his first game. It was actually against the Chargers, and he got smoked when Daboll was there. Yeah.
Hey, and the YouTube comment, Dianna? So somebody commented, like, are they going to move on from one of the backups? Trade deadline. What about Jameis or Russell? That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't think Jameis is going anywhere, but I think they'll get calls on Russ, I would think.
From where, though?
I'd flip it. I think they'd be open to obviously moving Russ. I just don't know who's calling.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
I was like, oh.
But talk to us in a week. Who knows?
Yeah, a lot can change each week, and every week as we
Where
go
would you
through
want to see him? Not that we want injured people.
Well, like, that's the thing. Someone would have to get injured, and then a playoff team or a fringe playoff team would like.
What if Kevin O'Connell's like, I'll just take a flyer on this thing. Let's see if I can make magic with this too.
Hey,
you probably could.
Well, we'll get to Kevin O'Connell in just a second. But remember, also, the majority of that salary has already been paid by the Giants. So I think that plays a part of this. Teams that are interested in Russell Wilson. I wanted to play this clip real quick before we move on from Jaxson Dart, because he's a big darling of this show anyway. So why not spend some time on him? I want to play this clip about that shovel pass you were talking about and showing. This is from Brian Daboll, and he rarely does this at the podium, really giving you a behind-the-scenes look. Not a Daboll moment, but we loved it. Check it out.
Was there any hesitation at all to
call a pass?
To call a pass in that spot? And why?
No. You know, it's interesting with that play. It was a little bunch play. We've worked it one way for, 10 years since we've been running a play. And, Dart sees me in the locker room right before I come out here. He's like, on that play we ran, Theo and I talked about that, what it was yesterday, the day before, and that if we get this look, I want you to sit. We normally don't really sit on it. So that's a credit to 2 young players playing the game and having confidence in a critical time to do what they talked about, whether studying film. And look, I got a lot of confidence in in our rookie quarterback.
Was there any hesitation at all to?
First off,
what does that mean? Sit like on the shovel pass, you usually continue going, but they're pulling a guard. I guess I just didn't understand the full concept of it. But the fact is, James, he let him do it, and that's cool.
Exactly, and to have that dialogue with your pass catchers in certain moments, going, hey, if we see this, let's.
I mean, how about a rookie quarterback doing that, right? Like he's going up to guys saying, hey, you want that? Like he just knows exactly what he wants, and I think that's outstanding.
Yeah,
honestly,
I mean, it was impressive. You know what? It's the first time we've seen a rookie quarterback in their debut beat a team that's 3-0 or better since Phil Simms in '79 for those Giants. How about that?
Yorker, huh?
Yes, they got the Saints and then the Eagles on a short week.
Ooh, okay, well,
Saints, all right, let's go. Eagles, I don't know.
We'll see. The defense is playing pretty well. They played well against Tampa. We'll talk about them in the Sunday Scaries, though. How about these Pittsburgh Steelers and what we're seeing from Aaron Rodgers? We're seeing a lot of question marks in the division right now, Chase, as we talked about what's going on in Baltimore, and we know what's happening in Cincinnati and Cleveland at their quarterback spots. We questioned this defense early in the season, and I think rightfully so. But these last 2 weeks, we've seen them get after the quarterback. We've seen them force turnovers. We know they were brilliant at it a season ago. And we're seeing Aaron play in a very specific way, I think. I'm curious what you see in the way Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith are putting this together.
Well, there were times this year that the Steelers, in my opinion, they haven't really put it all together. And for the first time in Ireland, I thought at times, and a good bit of it, like that's what that offense should look like. And they were missing Jaylen Warren too, their lead back, who I think is a pretty good lead back. But Aaron Rodgers getting the ball out of his hands, checking to these quick plays, getting DK Metcalf involved early and often, because when you get receivers involved early in the game, they feel good. They get hit with the football, they get the ball in their hands, and they're more engaged throughout the entire game. And that's exactly what happened with DK, okay? And even the big touchdown run. I mean, DK is like 6'4", 240, and he's built like an offensive lineman with offensive lineman strength. And he runs a 4.30 or 4.32 40. And so I just think like that's what, and you have to sort of be able to capture it on film to gain confidence of it as an offense. That's what that offense can look at. And then pair it with the defense, who we know somewhere deep in there, they're older, but they can look that way at times. Now, it helps they were playing Carson Wentz. I understand
and a banged-up offensive line, big time.
But when they can rush the passer and they can get negative plays on defense and then they can get short fields for their offense, that's when they're the best, James.
Yeah. What I saw, Chase, in that short game that you described, it's like he's bought into it, which I think is important. I think under 10 yards, I think he might be the best passing quarterback in football right now. They rely heavily on the yak, obviously. I think I think they're the best in the league in yards after the catch. And that's a big part of the way this offense is predicated. I think with the defense, they were missing a lot of tackles early, and I think they've kind of shored that up a little bit. Is this a marriage, Dianna, that we expected to just take a minute? Or are we seeing kind of what Arthur Smith had put in place for some time before Aaron even got there and what he envisioned?
Yeah, the one thing that players have always told me about Arthur Smith is his adaptability, right? So I think we had some frustrations with him in Atlanta for sure. But let's just take out some of that Atlanta stuff and go back to just his Tennessee days. That is just where he was really good at finding out what his best players do well. And he really connected with Aaron over the summer, from what I heard. And they were always just like I think there's just like a level of maturity there between both of them. And people there, not Arthur or Aaron, had shared with me that Aaron looked like he was in his early 30s again, which I was like, okay, like camp talk, camp love.
Yeah, of course.
And I kind of saw what they were talking about for the first time on Sunday morning. I was like, wow, he does look really young. He is getting the ball out so quicker than we've seen him do in years. So I just think this is a recipe for something that they could keep cooking. Now, I still don't trust the Steelers, and I know I should.
No one's saying about that. No one's talking about that.
Right? But I was wondering, and look, I know the Vikings O-line had some problems. It does
Certainly.
not matter who is sitting behind there. Chase, it could have been you in your prime. No
Prime
one
Chase.
Prime
Chase. Mizzou Chase. No one is going to be able to run an offense without that type of protection. But I was wondering if at any point during that game, someone from the Vikings was like, well, it would have been a little easier with that, maybe. Like, he looks pretty good. Because look, how could you not understand their perspective of it, right? It was taking a risk with Aaron, don't you think? I know he's a future Hall of Famer, and we know how good he looks right now, but we weren't sure. I don't think anyone was really certain that he looked this good.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah, I see.
I'm not doing anything.
I like the way you stir the pot.
I
like the way you stir the pot.
Oh my
I
gosh,
appreciate it.
I do.
No.
And you're the sane one, right?
I appreciate
Okay.
the sane one stirs the pot. I will. It is a long
Did you
season,
think it?
and we
Did you
do
think
want
it?
to
I
see
did.
It is a long season, though. We want to see how things go throughout the year. If you can't throw the ball downfield, though, Chase, like, when do teams just start to creep up? Like, I mean, he's only thrown 6 balls over 20 yards the entire season, and he's 1 for 6.
I mean,
so
it's nothing that he hasn't done his whole career, though, right? And I think that the one thing, James, that you have to do is when defenses do start clamping down, right? You're going to have a run game. When they do start clamping down, every sort of big play down the field has not every, most of the big plays in Aaron Rodgers' career have come on a scramble drill, right? Getting out, throwing the ball downfield, or just a simple go ball. It's like what you saw Peyton Manning do the last couple of years, just, hey, man-to-man, go ball. So they got to hit those shots when they take them, but I mean, it's going well right now.
Yeah, it is. And he's changed the red zone offense from one of the worst last year in football to
he's
one
always
of the
been
top
so
ones. And
good.
he's always been he dissects people
So
down there in the red zone. That sounds kind of like CSI. How about the Sunday Scaries? We're going to move on to that. And maybe there's some Sunday Scaries we're scared about. Are you scared about the Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 4-0, but we've yet to see them put an entire game together? I know this is one where Chase always likes to kind of like, maybe they're fraudulent. Maybe they're, we saw a good.
No. Chase just likes to
Holy
watch
cow.
and come up with analysis.
Okay. Well, they've yet to put together a complete game, right, Chase? This season, I think that's been kind of one of the things. Are we having a Sunday scary about this Eagles offense this week as opposed to last week? It was, wait a minute, strike that, reverse it. Second half great last week, first half great this week.
Yeah, they put 4 straight quarters of good ball together, and then the second half, so a whole game this season. The second half was just, I mean, look, I critique and the play of quarterbacks, and sometimes Jalen Hurts falls into that category. And it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch the offense. I mean, 0 passing yards in the second half. That's hard to do, and it just went a little bit they weren't aggressive. They weren't aggressive in the second half because they were holding on to a lead, and Baker was making a comeback and it was ferocious and all this stuff. And look, at the end of the day, the Eagles are still 4-0. And the end of the day, I do think that defense is excellent.
They played great.
They had a little issue in the second half with some scramble stuff, whatever. That's going to happen. But look, Jalen Hurts just hasn't been asked to do a lot. Saquon Barkley, I mean, just hasn't been able to get free for a lot of the quarters that they played this year. I still think they're probably the best team in football, just like pure talent. And look, this is what it takes. Like, you got to win games while you're finding out what your identity is. There's a lot of other teams in the NFL that wish they were 4-0, and they're doing that. And I think that's what is the most important thing is wins. It just they have some wins that are a little ugly at times, but it's still a win.
Isn't that the definition of teams that are really good when you're picking apart their wins? Like, WIP is just ripping them. And they won. You heard Jalen Hurts in his post-game interview with Tom Rinaldi say that he had this game circled. Right, which that's like
the Bucs have had the Eagles number. You're right.
Yeah, but for Jalen to admit that, like, we knew this, and the fact that they haven't been great yet and can still win just paints the picture of it's an all-star team. It really is. And you can talk about their offense having some hiccups here. They are. It's simple. It's a little vanilla. I think it's just going to get better as they get more comfortable. It's exactly how we started talking about the show in regard to Dallas and Shoddy and Dak and how they seem to have a better fit together because they've had some time together. I just think we need to give this a little bit more time. Now, my concern is A.J. Brown. And
Was there a cryptic tweet or something I missed?
Is he going to be as nice as he was last year about it? Is he going to read some books? Cryptic tweets? What are they doing? They always do something. There's always drama in Philly somehow.
But they like that. They feed off the drama. I think they need it. I think they're bored there.
Isn't that weird?
They remind me of my friends that are really pretty that just create issues because they're so pretty they have no drama. Like that is Philadelphia.
They have a skewed view of reality.
Correct. Everything just comes so easy to them that they're like, let's just make issue. And here's the problem though. Like AJ Brown is their best player on offense, but if he continues to complain like this, I like, and look, they seem to not freak out over this kind of stuff anyways there. They kind of know what AJ is like. And by the way, I love AJ.
Sirianni's good with that stuff though. Everything they endured last year in terms of like the drama, which was a ton of off-field drama last year, he's always kept them together. So I don't see why we can say anything different.
Kept them together. He was the one leading it at one point. Remember when he was on the sideline? He doesn't do that anymore. Like
he was chirping at Baker.
Does he need to shave his head again?
Maybe we'll have a Nick Sirianni head shave. Once again,
AJ
they're 4-0 though. They were 2-2 at this point last year though.
Yeah, they had to buy and it turned.
By the way, I am getting a lot of flack, and I just want to let you know.
Can I stick up for AJ?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Does he have a point?
Yeah, of course he has a point. What are you talking about? They don't know.
One, he's a receiver. Two, he's an outstanding receiver. Three, he's one of the best receivers in football. Those guys want the football, Diana. Yes, he has
and you should do anything you can do.
Why are we? Well, not we. I was. Why are we criticizing AJ Brown? Let's just flip it. Maybe we don't like the way he's handling it. Like I don't like that he doesn't need to be tweeting about it, but I'm sure he's sick of the same old story here. Right?
Yeah, look, I think there's a way. I think there's a way, and I think that is the ultimate thing in locker rooms. When stuff's going well, don't be freaking complaining publicly. Like that's my only thing. Like I know he wants the football. Go talk to your coach. Go talk to your. And so it plays into what you're saying, Diana. Like they must love that stuff because he likes But he is like one of the best receivers in football. However, like it just doesn't go out very well when you're complaining about not getting the ball. Go complain internally, and go say something internally when So I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess the only way to get their attention is to do it nationally, right?
Yeah, I guess so. There's not enough local guys in that locker room covering the team. It's one of the largest beats in the league. I will say, Diana, it was funny when you said he's their best player on offense, and I'm thinking he's a top 5 receiver in this league, and there's an argument to be made that he's not their best player on offense when you look at Lane Johnson and Saquon and AJ. Like the team has just so much talent. That's my point. There's just so much talent on the team.
Hold on before we go, because this just sort of burns my britches a little bit.
Ooh.
So there's been a lot of talk about Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, top 5 in the league. How can you tell me with a straight face, and you're not a Philadelphia Eagles fan, that Jalen Hurts is playing like a top 5 quarterback? Can any of you guys tell me?
I don't think
like a top 5 quarterback when he's throwing the football. I just don't get it. Like I'm getting a lot of flack on it because I just don't think I don't know how you can say it is. I don't know.
Well, we're 50 minutes into this show. We could go another 50 on Jalen Hurts probably in a discussion. He's one of the most polarizing players in this league in terms of people being, just entrenched on their stance, one side or the other on Jalen Hurts. There is a glitch in this offense that they do need to figure out, and we'll see what happens. But listen, these are wonderful problems to have at 4-0. You know what problems you don't want to have? When you're 0-4. And you're the Tennessee Titans. And that's another Sunday scary we have for you. And we changed play callers to go to Bo Hardigree, the quarterback coach. And we changed play callers and we didn't score a point. When the team we played also didn't have a win, they changed play callers on defense, went to defense coordinator Matt Burke. D'Amico Ryans no longer calling the plays. They pitched a shutout. So complete opposites when you change play callers for these two teams. Yeah. Diana, is there a concern that this could be the spot? And I never like to make light of this. These are families and people, and a lot of people are affected by these things. But could this be the first spot we're looking at that there could be a potential head coaching change?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of smoke around Tennessee right now, for sure. It has to be because of the performance, because of the fact that Cam Ward has a lot of talent. And look, this organization knew that it was going to take time. I don't think they expected to come out of the gate hot winning all these games. But I don't think 0-4 was on the game plan either. you have a lot of different storylines there too that are interesting to take a look at from the outside. You don't need to be an insider to know this, right? So you've got Mike Bergonzi there, who's now the general manager. You got Chad Brinker, who is part of the regime before Bergonzi came in, right? So you have a little bit of old, you have a little bit of new. You've got Brian Callahan, who is in just his second year and was pretty open with everybody. Like, yeah, that was a really hard job and I learned a lot. And I think there's been a little bit of patience there of like, all right, well, what'd you learn? Let's make this better. And it hasn't been better. And you have an owner who has made a lot of change. There has been so much turnover. I know we talked about A.J. Brown. I feel like since A.J. Brown's been traded in Tennessee, everything has gone down, right? It's like they made that move to Philadelphia. Next, John Robinson gets fired. Then Mike Vrabel gets fired. Rand Carthon gets hired. Rand Carthon gets fired. I mean, there's splicing in between there too. And there just hasn't been a lot of consistency there. And I know she wants it. I know she's searching hard to get the right people there. You've got Brian Callahan, the head coach. His father, very well paid offensive line coach, right? If you're the organization, you're looking at this, can you fire the head coach and not his father? Like, how would that work? How would that dynamic be?
What if his father was interim?
I kind of feel like John Fossa would be, but that was just a guess. He's running that.
Well, that's another. Group, that's like another layer to this. Of like, okay, well then let's say they move on from Brian Callahan, who's the interim. I don't think they're making any moves right now. I don't believe so. But guess who's coming to town in 2-3 weeks?
Who?
The New England Patriots. And what do you think is going to happen if the New England Patriots, led by their former head coach with a team that's just okay, comes in and blows out the Tennessee Titans at home? Like, it's just no one's going to feel good. I hate to be dramatic, but
circle that.
This stuff plays into things and the way people feel and owners and how they see it. They're not going to want that. Yeah. They're not going to want him to come in with the staff that was basically the Titans. It's like Titans North up there.
Like Chase, they have these 3 games coming up. They have the Cardinals, Patriots, Raiders. I think those are winnable games. It's not a murderer's row of NFL teams that we've seen through the first 4 weeks. So I think they're an important 3 weeks. But when your team is averaging 3.7 yards per play, which is the lowest, on pace for the lowest since 2000 in the NFL, and your quarterback has already been sacked 17 times, this is like David Carr territory of his rookie year. And we all know what that year was like. What do you do as a young quarterback with everything that's going on around you? Because I got to do it. I want to hear from Cam Ward, and then I want your take, because this is worth playing. Go ahead, Mac.
I mean, we keeping the buck right now. So we 0-4. We have this one. We got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our games, and we've yet to do anything. So we have to lock in, especially myself on the offensive line, from the defensive line, from the special teams to all 3 faces. We have to play together. We have not played together this year yet, and that's just something that we want to preach about it every day. Every day we got to do better, and we're doing that. But it has to show up on Sundays. It hasn't showed up yet, but it got to show up next week.
Full of muted words in there, Chase.
I love it.
Do you love this? Why do you love this?
What?
Hit me.
Because he cares. He cares. And there's no question in my mind that the Tennessee Titans have the future quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. Like, Cam Ward is that guy. Mm-hmm. I just worry, and he seems like he has his head on right. Like that is so important when you go through like this adversity of losing. The dude ain't used to losing. Mm-hmm. Like Cam Ward, he kept it real. He was honest. He showed emotion. And I think like that, it wasn't some some answer to the media. Like, he cares. And so I don't think you're at risk of ruining a rookie quarterback like we've seen so much, right? But there does come a time where some confidence issues can come into play. And I don't think that the Titans ever want it to get that far. Now, what is the breaking point for that? That's what I can't answer. That's what I don't know about, because like the play on the field, it'll get better. They're just not a great team. And if you continue to lose, who's going to be the first one out the door? Unfortunately, it's probably going to be the head coach to try and change something. Now, I don't know if that's going to change overnight, that they're just going to, Brian Callahan, if he gets fired, like he's just going to have to go and all of a sudden, like they're going to get no. But I do think at the forefront of decision makers at this franchise should be the mental aspect of how Cam Ward is going to handle everything go together, because they have that guy.
Chase, you are making a request to the owner of the Tennessee Titans and to their general manager, Mike Berganzi, right now to go find the right people to surround Cam Ward. That is what I'm hearing from you.
That's exactly right.
You have talent, you have skill, you perhaps have the potential of an organizational changing player right here.
You have
He's
it.
there. Right? Think about how many coaches around the league are watching Tennessee, looking at the fact that they've got the quarterback. And all you need to do is find the right people to not only build the right roster around him, but connect with him in a way that's going to get this Tennessee Titans team making waves for the right reasons, and not be the story of a team that no one's paying attention to because they're not good. Look how long it took us to even talk about Cam Ward this year. And unfortunately, they're not doing anything to help themselves. So until they get the right people, this is a risk they're going to take. We spent a lot of time on the show talking about not ruining young quarterbacks, right? Like, how can you avoid ruining it?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't helping.
No, there's three things that jump out at me before we move on to the last segment of our show before we dip out of here, guys, is one, you already had a quarterback in place and you did not develop Will Levis under Brian Callahan. Two, I know this new regime, and Diana, I know you know this the same, is that they're evaluating this entire roster. There are people that were picked by the previous regime that they probably wouldn't have selected if they were running the draft. So there's aspects of this roster they want to turn around. They just traded a corner just because he didn't fit what they do there. It kind of is an example of where they're at. And the third one is they're building a brand new $1 billion stadium. And you got to sell some tickets, and you got to sell some seats, and you got to sell some suites. And I know that's in the mind of ownership probably moving forward when you have that on the horizon. Okay, when we close this out here, we want to go with For Real or Froyo. I always think of the fake ice cream that was fat-free in Seinfeld, and everybody, and Newman was just mowing through it. But it was not fat-free. He was running.
My wife loves Seinfeld. Oh, my gosh.
Well, so do I. I'm going to throw out some teams. You just tell me out of these, which one you would like to answer and which one is for real.
Can you tell us their records?
I'm just going to tell you about what you've seen on film, because that's what quarterbacks do. What's on film? Steelers, Jags, Patriots, Bears. Diana, pick a team out of that group that maybe you just want to say is for real or not for real so far.
I know who she's picking.
Oh, yeah. Chicago Bears.
Oh, wait, what?
This is for real.
Yeah.
2-game win streak. Okay.
Tell
me.
I'm wrong.
Chicago Bears are for real. They're the example of what we've been saying of, like, just give it time. I think Ben Johnson is proving why he was sought after. I think he's finding ways to connect with Caleb Williams. I think when they protect him, we see good things happen. The fact that their defense is showing up. This is exactly, I think they've arrived early. I think they're having success earlier than I expected. I know I've been on the Bears train since the summer because I do believe that they have found something special. I don't like the way he's doing sideline interviews, but that whole dynamic was very weird with Aditi. What was that?
It was interesting. Yeah.
I don't know what that was interesting. I thought it was, first of all, I think he was mean to him. He was a little rude, but I think that he was such an like in the zone.
Yes.
That like I think he probably heard her say, "Yeah, you need to change it," and she's more so, "What do you need to do to change it?" I think there was a communication error there, and when you're a losing head coach, you don't like these interviews. These interviews suck, and I know it's part of it. But I think he heard her wrong. Okay. Like, I really do.
So first he's mean, now he just heard her wrong.
She did a great job of like saying, she did a good job of like saying.
Two things can be true at the same time.
She said pretty.
She didn't make it like, I would have been like, what'd you say?
Yeah. I would have got in her face.
Like, I would have been throwing down like Liam Cohen style. That's probably why I'm not on the sideline.
All right, Chase. Steelers, Jags, Patriots, Bears. Is anybody for real or Froyo in your mind?
So I really do like the Patriots. Like I think Drake May's done an outstanding job, but I'm gonna go with the Jags. They're 3-1. Their defense is forced at least
this is for real. You're saying Jags are for real
every single game. Their defense is forced at least 3 turnovers in every single. I think the 49ers are a good team, and they whipped up on them. Now, look at their division, right? The Colts are in there. It's a winnable division. So for real, for the division, like I'm not saying for real of Froyo, these are like Super Bowl contenders, but you can't ask for a better start, in my opinion, in the Liam Cohen era. And then like you see like Travis Hunter balling, like the running game looks good. The catch down the middle for like all this stuff. So I like the fact that their defense is playing like that, allowing their offense to get going. So I'm gonna go. I think the Jags got something to them, man. Like we don't talk about them at all, but I like them.
No, okay. Well, it's funny because I was going to say the Jags might be Froyo. But I don't know. Well, this is what the turnovers are unbelievable. I mean, to have, was it 3,
at least
4 or something? They had 4 in this last one.
Man.
It's been unbelievable. I'm just curious if that's sustainable. The one part I want to see, and then Chase, you can close this out with this, is Trevor Lawrence is on pace right now. It's early and it's a new system, and there's a lot to Liam Cohen's system, and there's a lot of verbiage. There's a lot going on, but he's on pace for a career worst in completion rate, yards per attempt, passer rate, interception rate, EPA per pass. What are you seeing growth in Lawrence? Because let's just say it before we go. That's the crux of bringing Liam Cohen in, is to get more out of Trevor Lawrence. Are you seeing a different quarterback?
I mean, look, Trevor Lawrence has been up and down his entire career. I think he's had stretches of really good play. I think he's had stretches of really bad play, and he's in a stretch right now of really bad play. My only comeback to anyone saying the consistency of Trevor Lawrence is it's a new scheme. The scheme is difficult to learn. They're having to lean on the run game. I want to give this like the second half of the season to see how he progresses. It's not like they have all world beaters at receiver. The defense is for real. If you can do that, if you can lean on the run game, and if you can just allow Trevor Lawrence to just get comfortable, because this is a scheme he hasn't really ever played in. And I think it's going to take some time. And he's
had a lot of change. Yeah.
He's had a lot of change. And I don't think he's like broken. I don't think he's lived up to the hype at all, like by any stretch of imagination. But I do want to just give him a little bit, because I do think this scheme, it's going to end up working if their defense continue to get turnovers and takeaways. I think that's a good recipe for success down in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
and they have a guy that says, keep my name out your mouth. Little gusto down there from Liam.
I like it.
Little feistiness on the field with Robert.
You ever said that to somebody?
Keep my name out your mouth.
What? Come on.
Yeah.
Really?
Chase did it yesterday to
I've done it too, but I'm frisky.
It does not surprise me. The sane one did that.
That's how she lost her voice. Now we know it. Show goes full circle from start to finish.
Now we know it.
By Giannis. The voice has gotten better as we've talked, I think, as this show's
You drinking some tea?
Yeah, that's what I've been drinking. It's so weird, but it was my anniversary over the weekend, so it was like a gift. It was like a gift to Kev. No voice.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
Oh, thanks, guys.
What number?
5.
Hey, halfway to a decade. Let's go.
Halfway there.
Wait, so you're older than me, and I'm at year 12.
Yeah, but you got married
older,
like 20.
Right?
You guys like met in college.
I got married at 28.
Yeah, that's my point. James, how old were you?
That's not 20.
I'm not telling you how old I am.
No, how old were you when you got married?
James is 35.
25.
What?
Oh, so how many years have you been married?
14.
16.
16.
So you're 41. Yeah. See
Damn it,
how I did that math?
Tell everybody at home. That was really quick math. I appreciate it.
He's very smart.
I know he is smart. This was a wonderful time. As we were live too, I was like nervous. I got sweaty palms, but we had a great time. This is going to be a thing, I think, on Mondays. We'll see. But tremendous work from everybody. Appreciate it. Make sure. I think you can chat through these too. I saw some of them in there. I should be a little bit more into. See, best ball on call. Happy anniversary, right there. Beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
Love it. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us for the last hour. We'll see you later this week for Chase Daniel, Dianna Russini, James Palmer. This was Scoop City on a Monday, presented by eBay. Take it easy. Bye, guys.